All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to today's Hangout. Glad to see you here. We have a special guest speaker today that I'm excited to get to. Want to go through a couple of quick recognition pieces, and then we'll move on to our guest speaker. I'm excited to hear from her. So first of all, want to just recognize anybody who has sponsored a new coach last week. Having some, it's awesome to see how many people are expanding that ripple effect of helping people and changing other people's lives physically, financially, all the above. It's exciting to see. So congratulations to David Wiltz, Dawn Zimnick, Ellen Frisk, Catherine Sander, Kelly Celestino, Kim Wiltz, Megan Mikulski, Rachel Petrick, and Veronica Thielman. Great job, everybody. And then I also want to recognize our top weak leg volume producers. And again, just to remind everybody why we recognize weak leg volume. That is from a business stance, and we're going to continue to teach more and more about building volume and specifically weak leg volume. That is where the long-term stability for your business when it comes to income will come from. So Maria Marucci, Janina Suarez, Amanda Lee, Meredith Tanaka, Nikki Duff is almost at 500. James Corey, just shy of 600. Michelle Swidrak, just over 1,000. And the top weak leg volume coach this week, Rachel Petrick. Great job. And one special shout out for rank advancement. I want to give a shout out to Rachel Petrick, who has officially locked up and clinched 1-star diamond. So congratulations to Rachel for achieving that. And as leaders, as you continue to grow your business, the one thing about this business is that you can't accomplish those things without helping other people succeed with the business. So really what that is that's a direct reflection of Rachel and her team helping a bunch of people, right? And as you guys all continue to grow, you'll all see that. You can get to certain levels by yourself with your just grit and determination, but getting to that next level, that star diamond level, that's when it really takes some leadership skills, helping other people and focusing on helping them build their business. So congratulations to you, Rachel, for that. All right, let's jump into our special guest speaker for the week. Glad that she is feeling better. The baby is cooperating this week. So we have the privilege of having Brooke Lipoff on our call today. Like I mentioned last week, Brooke is somebody that I've learned a ton from when it comes to social media. She's a part of our 5-star study group where we bounce ideas off of each other, and she just adds so much value in there. And so I'm excited that we get to have her on the call today. Brooke, for those of you who don't know her, is a 5-star diamond coach. She finished last year as an elite coach, ranked number 95 in the company. She's a Success Club legend, so she's a Success Club for 2 consecutive years. Consistency, that's the name of the game. Doing the same thing over and over and over, mastering the mundane, right? And one of the things about her story that I love is that, and she'll share more about her story in a minute, but that she entered Coach Summit 2014 as an Emerald coach and entered Coach Summit 2015 as a 5-star diamond coach. That's a huge accomplishment, and so I'm excited that she's going to share a little bit of her story and some tips with her on how she was able to make that happen. So, Brooke, turn it over to you.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. And again, I'm sorry that I had to bail on you guys last minute last week. The morning sickness is good today, so I'm good to go. So thank you so much for having me, and thanks for the kind words. It's much appreciated. What I'm going to do is go ahead and share my screen here and share a little slide show that I made so I stay on track, because I tend to get off track if I don't have a slide. Here we go. And if any time, just yell out to me, because I can't see you guys chatting with this slide up, so just yell out if somebody has some questions. So who am I? Mark already shared a little bit about me, but I just got recently married in September. My husband, Jason, was and is a pediatric dentist, and you're going to hear some more about kind of his story with this as well. That's our little doggie, Fiona, and we are expecting a boy this coming July. So super excited about a lot of things happening. A lot of changes have happened in our life since Beachbody and since Jason and I met, and I'm going to kind of go through all that with you guys. So when I started as a coach, I started in October of 2013, and I had really started because I was following Janelle Summers on Facebook and on Instagram, and I had no idea what she was doing, really no clue what Beachbody really was. But I just kind of thought maybe it's something that I want to do, whatever she's doing. And I remember back in probably the spring of 2013, I hadn't done any Beachbody programs or anything like that yet. I was a big gym goer, and I was still overweight, didn't really find anything that kind of fit what I needed. And, you know, I remember reaching out to her and her kind of telling me about what coaching was all about. And I said no, kind of forgot about it. And then later that year, Jason came home one night and he said, you know what, I signed up to be a Beachbody coach today. And I'm like, what? Like, you totally stole my thunder. That was what I was going to do one day. But he had a friend who played baseball with down here in Florida who had gotten amazing results from Insanity. And being a pediatric dentist, he was always looking for something kind of on the side to kind of help residual income and things like that. And so it matched our lifestyle at that point in time. So he signed up to coach, and of course, I signed up underneath him. And you guys were talking about weak leg and strong leg. I'm on his strong leg, which is not good for me or him, but it worked out. So we didn't really know what we were doing. We didn't have an upline. We didn't even know who our uplines were for probably 6 to 8 months. We had no training, nothing. We were kind of off on our own in this little bubble, trying to figure things out. I also am a past binge eater, and that was something that's kind of, you'll know more about me as you kind of follow my stories and everything. But I was full-time dental hygienist working 6 days a week, usually. Really tiring job for those who know. The medical field for anybody is pretty tiring, but in dental hygiene, there's really not a whole lot of breaks, and it's mentally and physically exhausting. And so I was really kind of running myself thin. No vacation time, very little sick time as hygienists, not a whole lot of benefits as hygienists either. For those of you who don't know, hygienists usually don't get those types of benefits that other careers do. I was in a previous really bad emotional relationship that was emotionally abusive and physically. And so when I met Jason in the end of 2012, I needed some personal development, but I didn't know about all of that yet. But I knew that I was here, I was put here to do something. I just didn't know what it was yet. I was in an unfamiliar city because I moved to Louisville, Kentucky, basically for the guy that I was with before, which is where I met Jason. We're both not from Louisville, so we really didn't know anybody around us. So even when we signed up to coach, it's funny when coaches say, well, I don't know anybody. I'm in a city where, you know, I don't know a whole lot of people. I knew 7 people, and those were the people who I worked with. My business has been built through social media. I'm going to, oh, shoot. I think can you still see my screen?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, I think it disappeared for some reason for me. Oh, there we go. It's back. So I had a lot of credit card debt, student loan debt out the wazoo, and really I was living paycheck to paycheck. I had purchased a home with the previous bad relationship guy, and it was all on me. It was on my credit. He had racked up my credit cards, and I was in a really bad situation financially. And so that's why I was working 6 days a week. That was the only way I knew to make more money. And dental hygienists make pretty good money. And even then, I was barely making it. And it was so frustrating because I was like, you know, I was told, go to college, get a good career, get a good job, and you'll be fine. And here I was struggling, you know, and it was really defeating. And I just felt like, you know, and I don't know if anybody else has felt this way that's on the call, but it just felt like, is this it? Like, I just felt stuck. This is my life. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, is work paycheck to paycheck. And I do like to say that I was a gym rat too, because I didn't do a whole lot of Beachbody programs before I signed up to coach. I had done T25, but really my transformation didn't come from Beachbody programs. It had previously come from me working my butt off in the gym. So that was kind of I guess an objection that I had for coaching as well that some others might have. So I was worried, how am I going to promote something that didn't really, that's not where all of my transformation came from. So as my journey started, I signed up to coach, and being a gym rat, I don't know if this might sound bad, but I followed a lot of the Instagram, like personal trainer women who like have these amazing bodies and makeup on all the time and their hair done. And I just had really unrealistic goals for what I should look like. And when I joined Beachbody, I thought that that's what Beachbody was. I wasn't immersed in the challenge groups. I didn't know a whole lot about the programs until we signed up. And I didn't even use Shakeology for the first month or two because I was like, I don't need that. I take a protein shake. I was that coach. And this is proof, if anything, like I had all, but I thought that that's that worked. The abs, and they were ripped all the time, and I didn't see the other part of it until, which this was one of my first turning points. We went on the Success Club cruise, which was, I believe was March, and that was in 2014, and that was our team. Basically, the guy in the T25 shirt was the guy who signed Jason and I up, and Rick was one of his coaches. So it was just us on this cruise, didn't know anybody, and it's so funny now looking back. Like I remember, like now I know like Josh Spencer is my upline, and you know, a couple other people, and I'm like, wow, you know, I saw these people, but I didn't know who they were. But on the cruise, I think I finally realized like these are real people. And previously I had thought, you know, I remember working my butt off for this cruise, trying to look like a Beachbody coach. Like I thought that's all that I needed to do. And when we got on the cruise, it was like, no, these are real people. I saw real bodies, talked to real people, met real people, and I love the community. And it was just so awesome to be a part of that. And I think that just being on that cruise completely changed my mindset for what Beachbody was. Not necessarily coaching, but because I hadn't been in challenge groups, because I hadn't, you know, really been immersed in the Beachbody culture, I wasn't really sure what it was all about. But that's where I kind of saw it all.
Hey, Brooke.
And then on this, yeah, go ahead.
Hey, real quick, I think on your slides, are you moving down them? Because we're still seeing the first Who Am I slide.
I am. Let me see.
Now it's on the third one. I don't know if that's the right one.
Let me see if I share it now. Is it on this? Wait, what about now?
Yeah, it's on the third one now, I think. My journey points, turning points.
Did you guys see my before and after?
No, we missed that one.
Okay, that's my before and after. And this is really the one on the right was from after the 21-day fix. When that
we still see the third one.
Oh, that stinks. Okay, you know what? I'll just leave it like this because you can see it this way, right?
Yeah, we see like your main PowerPoint.
Okay.
You know what I mean, like where you create the PowerPoint. That's what we're seeing right now.
Okay, I'll just leave it like this because you guys can see this, right?
Yep.
Okay, we'll just leave it here. Okay, so the left picture was the cruise, March 2014, and then that right picture is Summit 2014, and that was my team. That was Sean who signed us up, Jason, my boyfriend at the time, and then my one coach, which barely went Emerald before we got to Summit, and that was Sarah. And she only got to Emerald because Jason was trying to get to 2-star before Summit, and so he helped get me to Diamond. So I went into Summit Emerald and turned Diamond that Thursday. And that was basically because Jason had helped Sarah and I kind of get us up in rank. And it was people that we knew, of course, that we signed up, but it wasn't from my doings. I wasn't out recruiting people. Jason was just helping. He was basically working my business because I didn't know what the heck I was doing at that point in time. So Summit was really kind of like where the cruise is where my mindset for the Beachbody culture changed. And then, all of my income kind of from that point, which you're going to see later, really came from challenge group. And I wasn't interested in really building my team. I was really kind of obsessed with Success Club points and getting the most Success Club points. And I didn't understand the importance of building my team until I got to Summit. And that's where I saw the bigger picture, and I saw the reality of what could happen with this business, and it could be my business. And I just saw the bigger picture. And so from being at Summit, my big turning point was, okay, now I know the culture. I know what the bigger picture is. Now I've got to change some things. So what did I change from the cruise? So these are the things that, because I want to kind of give you guys an idea of the things that actually changed in my business from the cruise. From the cruise, I started sharing more of me instead of what I've thought people wanted to see. I thought people wanted to see a Beachbody coach with six-pack, always like being perfect with their health and nutrition. I never shared like my slip-ups, and I was really afraid to just share too much of myself. I was very salesy. I have a what not to do document that has a lot of stuff that I shared that first quarter of 2014, because I didn't know what I was doing, but also I thought that's what people wanted to see. I thought they wanted to see the Beachbody before and afters. I realized Beachbody coaching could be my business. So I realized at that point in time that on the cruise, like, it could really be, I saw successful coaches that were all different shapes and sizes, and I was like, this can really be what I want it to be with my style and not Beachbody's style. So that's when I finally dug into personal development, but I also started working on my skill set developments on storytelling, social media. And from that point is when I started listening to podcasts, just really teaching myself about social media and storytelling for the most part. And these are some of my favorites: Amy Porterfield, Social Media Examiner, and Shailene Johnson, of course. And so those were really the three. Like, my time to and from work was spent listening to podcasts. It was like my mobile skill set class. And then I also added in personal development, something that I didn't think I ever needed before. But I really, at that point in time, started understanding the importance of target marketing instead of mass marketing. And that was where my focus was. And that's why I got so many Success Club points, and my focus was challenge groups, because that was kind of where my mindset was at that point in time before Summit. And again, guys, I didn't have an upline saying this is what you should focus on, this is what you should be doing now. Had I, things would have probably went a lot faster and been different, but I had to figure this out on my own. So there was a lot of trial and error over the months and processes of a coach. So what did I change after Summit? So after Summit, my mindset changed from, from just like, I can run all these challenge groups, to I've got to build a team of people who can do the same thing I'm doing so I can help more people. And I'm kind of a Pearl personality for those who kind of follow the gym stuff. So I'm motivated by helping others. That's really where my motivation comes from. But I'm also Ruby, so I am competitive. So when I was at Summit, both of those things merged together like a beautiful, silhouette. And I was like, wow, these are both of the things that motivate me. And here I am working as a dental hygienist, like the mundane people who hate to see me every single day. And I don't feel like I'm changing their life. Like, their teeth are just as dirty as they were 6 months ago. They're not doing what I told them to do, and they hate coming to see me. So it was like, here on one end, I was doing something that I just wasn't passionate about anymore, just to make ends meet. And then I'd come home and I'm like, wow, like, this is really getting me going. So after Summit, I really realized I needed to build a team of people who were like me, not just a team, but people who were like me. But I also needed to train my team, because that's something that I didn't have. So I knew that I had to create a training and, not recreate the wheel, use some stuff that the Coach Online Office had. And I started kind of like reaching out to coaches who were not my uplines, because I didn't really have a whole lot, and I hate to say this, but my uplines are male. So I had Wayne Wyatt and I had Josh Spencer, with both top coaches. However, their training styles were completely different than what I would train my team, because it was all women at that point in time. So it was just a little bit of a different style, and mine was more like go-getter, faster pace. That's what I wanted for my team. So I kind of had to create that myself. But I also started talking about the coaching opportunity with so much more belief from Summit because I saw the potential. Even though I wasn't there yet, I was kind of faking it until I made it. I mean, I walked in as not really a diamond coach, or I came in as an emerald coach, walked out as an unstable diamond coach. And I was only emerald at that point in time because I signed up my parents. And I think I fell out of diamond like the next week or so. But after that, it was like, I'm building this team that's my own. Like, I'm going to do this. And I really saw, like, I mean, I remember crying with my coach, Sarah, who's one of my Star Diamond coaches now, that was in that picture that you saw at Summit 2014. I remember sitting there with Sarah and we're like crying, and I'm like, I see our team up there. Not only do I see our team as the accomplishments of the opportunity that this can give us, but the opportunity of changing their entire life. Like when we saw people shredding their mortgages, I'm just like, I know people that I want to see up there. And it wasn't so much I wanted to see myself. I saw my people up there, and I said, I don't have any people yet, but I can see them. I can see this thing that's going to happen. And I don't know if that's an ability or a trait that some people don't have, but I tend to see the bigger picture on things that I'm really passionate about pretty quickly. And so that was just set in my mind. And so I also realized that it was the community that I wanted to be a part of, because the cruise was all fun and you kind of saw like the Beachbody culture and everything. But then I really saw the community at Summit, like all the different moving pieces that come together and the leadership by corporate. And I was just like, wow, you know, I work for this dental company that is, and then there's this. So I just went all in from Summit on. So Summit 2014, I told myself by this time next year, I am not going to be working dental hygiene. And that was my goal from Summit 2014 to 2015. And I made that happen earlier than I thought. But the biggest change was that I had to become a leader. And even though I didn't think I was ready to step into that, I had to anyway. And I should have done it the minute I became an Emerald coach. And I tell my Emerald coaches now, you know, as soon as you're an Emerald coach, you need to look at yourself as a leader. Even if you don't see it yet, you need to start looking at leadership development as something that's important to you, because there's no reason to get to Emerald and Diamond if you don't plan on going way beyond that. You know, we don't just stop, we want to keep going. So you have to step into that leadership role immediately. And I wish I would have a lot sooner. But I align myself with other leaders, not just with my team and my upline, but also with outside of my team. And I started connecting with them, just seeing what they were doing and bouncing off ideas and really being totally giving of my information and stuff that I had learned so that they would help me out too, you know, and that was huge. And, you know, there's so many teams that I feel like can be so closed off, like, oh, I don't want to share my stuff. And I was like, take it, you know, because I knew that would come back tenfold, and it has, because people come to me and help me with things that I have a weakness in. And I started doing leadership training. So I did like John Maxwell training, and that was an investment. You know, we paid, I think, $300 or $400 for a Maxwell training, and that was huge. And I would have never imagined I would have put money down for something like that in the past, but I look at it as, this is my continuing education. I had to pay for that stuff for dental hygiene. This is my leadership development or my continuing education. And I changed my mindset from being an employee, because I think even after the cruise, I still thought Beachbody employs me and I'm doing their business and their work, but I never saw it as my work and my mission until after Summit. And I changed that mindset completely to, this is mine, I own it, I'm independent from Beachbody, and this is what I'm gonna make of it. And I think that's where everything kind of shifted. Did you want to add anything in there? Oh.
No, you're doing great.
Okay, perfect. I didn't hear.
Was that my cue for you need to take a breath?
Yeah. I told Mark before the call, I like run out of breath now that I'm pregnant. So if you hear me huffing and puffing, it's not because I'm like out of shape. It's just the pregnancy, the blood flow is crazy.
No, the one thing that I just wanted to add is that I love how from such an early, you know, early stage, you just had that vision for where you wanted to go, and not only where you wanted to go, but where you wanted your team to go. And it's so important to create that and have that be your driving force. That was awesome.
And it's funny now when I create my marketing plans for recruiting coaches, I look for visionaries, so people who do see a bigger picture. And there's ways that you can kind of ask questions when you're on, a call with them or one-on-one, to kind of see, like, even just by saying, what are your goals, and then what's a huge goal of yours in the next 5 years? Like, if they play it really small, you can kind of tell, like, they don't think big picture sometimes, or see the bigger picture. Or when I say, what do you want to do with coaching? Like, if somebody says, I want to replace my full-time income, I'm like, okay, they see it. And I have to portray that too on social media for them to know it's possible to say those things. So those are kind of the things that I look for now in recruiting. So at 2015 Summit, you can kind of see we grew. So we went from 4 people to I think we had 40, because not everybody's pictured here, 40 to 45 people at Summit. So just in a year, we went from 4 to 45. So that's pretty huge. And my team for myself went from 10, barely making diamond, to personally sponsored. I think I had around 40 coaches personally sponsored, but our whole downline grew to over 1,000, which was just amazing. And you can kind of see like a little time hop before and after over here on the right, of our dinner before and when we had our big team and everything. And so that was like huge, having the team there and seeing them there, because of the experience I had from being at Summit. I really talked about that a lot with our team and how important it was to get there. And I look at this picture, and every single one of these coaches are still here, still plugging away. A lot of them are diamond now, and not one of them, I'm looking at the picture, not one of those coaches is gone. So it just shows you that when you go and see that bigger picture, I mean, you can't stop from that. You're just going to keep going. So something that I like to share too are changes in income. Now, I'm not motivated by income. I was motivated by freedom and getting out of my dental hygiene job. But this is what comes when you make those other changes. So income is ultimately a goal for kind of anyone who wants that freedom. So my first 3 months as a coach, kind of wobbly there and all over the place. And you can see on January 1st, I had a big paycheck. That was when P90X3 was launching, I think, because I think it launched at the end of December, and I really had talked it up and been doing the workouts for that. And so that was all retail. Then you can see it drop back down after that. And then you can see 6 months in, I was making about $300 a week. And that was leading, that was kind of after the cruise. So you can see that, I was kind of wobbly and all over the place. And when I first started, like my first 3 months, I didn't really have that belief in the challenge groups. Then when I got on the cruise, I saw the culture, and I wanted, to really focus on recruiting people as challengers. And so you can see that that's kind of where my income steadied out a little bit. And then 8 months in after Summit, you can see that it kind of jumped up. So it went up to, around the 500 mark after Summit, and really stayed there. And so you can see leading up to Summit. So Summit was, I think it was in the beginning of July. I can't really remember. But you can see leading up to Summit was kind of all over the place and inconsistent. And then afterwards, when I started building my team, you can see here, I'm going to go to this one first. You can see that in December of 2013, from my commissions, here I was, all commissions. So you can see retail commissions, all commission, no team, no nothing. And then in December of 2014, about 50% came from my team, because remember at Summit, I started building my team and realizing how that happens and how your income grows from that. And then you can see last year, December 2015, and this is just my first business center, what changes took place. I mean, that huge, I would say, 90% of my income basically came from my team. So you can see how your mindset can shift from, oh my gosh, I'm only making this much, and I got 20 Success Club points this month or 10 Success Club points this month. How that over time, when you change your mindset to your team building as well, where that changes. And I hadn't really paid attention to my income that much until I started saying, oh my gosh, like I think I'm replacing my my full-time income for hygiene now, because it wasn't something that I really paid a whole lot of attention to in the beginning. And then I'm going to go back here. So 15 months in, I started making around $2,000 a week. And then as of right now, I'm making $3,000 to around $3,500 a week over 2 years as a coach. And I finally went full-time coaching in June of, or actually it was May of this year. And I had cut back my hours because I was really just feeling lost doing hygiene. I wasn't passionate about it anymore. And my turning point was really, this was kind of my sign, the day that I realized how much my 1 week's paycheck was for basically covering, a couple weeks of hygiene. And so that was like a big eye opener for me. And I remember posting about it, and I was like, if I can keep this consistent, I'm going to quit hygiene and I'm going to come home and be a full-time coach. And my turning point and my kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, I told you guys that I didn't get a whole lot of time off, didn't get a lot of vacation time. I had death in the family, and my grandpa had passed away. And my office manager actually made me feel guilty that I had to take off, and I had to find someone to fill in for me because I had a full schedule of patients. And I was just appalled. And I was like, that's it. I need my freedom. I cannot work for someone else anymore. I had a lot of oomph taken out of me at that point in time because I never felt so unappreciated. And I go to someone to tell them that my grandpa had passed away. I mean, I'm in tears, and they're telling me I need to find someone to fill in for me. And not only that, I didn't even get paid time off. I mean, it was just ridiculous. And so that was the point in time where I said, I can't do this anymore. And I walked away, and I became a full-time coach in June. And here I am. So, and another kind of little piece of the story, I said, my husband is a pediatric dentist. We went on our honeymoon in September. We got married in September, went on our honeymoon, came back, and he actually got fired that Monday from his pediatric position where he makes he made a very good income. And it was just a shock, a huge shock. And you think that by working in the medical community, a lot of dental offices go corporate now, and we're employees. A lot of dentists don't own their own practices now. But you think that you're safe, and you were always told in college, go in the medical field, you'll be safe. It's not true. He got fired from his position and put us in a really bad spot. And that's what kind of drives us now to keep this going, because you don't know. And that's why it's so important to build something of our own instead of under someone else's roof. He built up a dental practice to the millions, and it got taken away from him because of money. And so it really just hurt us and really burnt us. And just last week, one of our Star Diamond coaches, she's a nurse, a registered nurse, she got laid off. And so it's just becoming a realization how important it is to build something under our own roof and not rely on anybody else, and changing that to, I'm going to be my boss. I don't want anybody else to have control over my future. So yeah, so that's it. That's my little story here.
Awesome. Appreciate you sharing that with us, Brooke. Guys, if you have any questions for Brooke, feel free to post it in the chat box. On the right-hand side of your screen, you should see a chat box. If you don't see that chat box, on the left-hand side of your screen, there's a little blue button. It says chat. Click that, and the chat box will pop up. Brooke, appreciate you sharing that your story with us. And again, I loved how you set that. After getting the summit, set that vision for yourself. And that's one of the things that we stress so much, is that how important it is to get to those bigger events. How much things change for people. And that's how it started for us, was attending. Back then they had game plan events, and attending a game plan event, and we're like, okay, these are pretty normal people, and they're just crushing it. So why can't we do it? Right? We're no different.
Even team calls like this, because I didn't have an upline, and because I wasn't a part of a team, there was no culture. There was nothing for me to kind of plug into at that point in time, other than the national wake up calls. But that was kind of it. And so I didn't really feel like there was any connection there. So even just team calls, showing up and being on those calls is so important. And awesome that you all showed up today and listened to the recordings, because that gives you such an insight into what it's all about, a lot of the time too.
Right. And I love that you mentioned how, as we're building this business, it really is, it really gets, in the beginning, it might be about, I need to make some money. But it starts to become, it's not about the money necessarily. It's about what the money can do for me and the freedom that it can create for you, and just having options, right? Like for anybody who's working a job, which is probably everybody on the call, just about. How cool would it be to have waking up early tomorrow and going to your job be an option? Like, I don't feel like going in tomorrow. I think that's going to be it. Right? Like it's what it can create. And now, Brooke they're pregnant with their first baby, and they get to be home and enjoy that time. And I know that's going to be an awesome time for you guys.
Absolutely.
One of the other things that I love seeing, and I appreciate you sharing the progression of your income and transitioning from all you in the beginning to 90% your team, and probably 10% of your income now is maybe even less than 10%. And that's just such a common theme whenever I talk to any top coach, any big money earner, any big producer. It's once they realize that, man, I can utilize this opportunity that it has as far as growing a team of people to do the exact same thing I'm doing. And now, instead of the 10, 20, 30 people that you were able to reach by yourself by hitting SC20, SC25, now I guarantee your team is reaching thousands of people every single month, and that ripple effect just continues to expand. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, and being a Pearl personality, that was what kind of motivated me from Summit, was realizing that I was really limiting my reach to helping people by not, I kind of told myself I was being selfish by not sharing the opportunity. So then I think from Summit on, it was like when I shared the coaching opportunity, I was no longer scared to do so, because I felt like it was more of a mission for me. It was my mission work that I was supposed to do this to help more people. And so I didn't feel bad when people said no. I was just on to the next one, because I had the belief that somebody's going to say yes, and it's going to help someone in the future. And I think that being the personality type that I am, that really was what motivated me.
Yeah.
I don't see any chat, any messages over here, but if there are any, just tell me.
Yeah, there's a couple. I'll get to those in a second. I had a few questions as well. So, you go to Summit 2014, you're an Emerald with your mom and dad. solid Emerald, right? Because you can tell mom, hey mom, I need you to buy shake. Right. So after it kind of clicked for you, and you come back home, if you wouldn't mind maybe sharing some of because obviously, at that time you're still working your job, right? So what did that look like for you in terms of how you scheduled your day? How many conversations are you having to start creating that momentum? What were I guess some of the beginning activities that you focused on because you still had your job, so you couldn't do everything, right? Mm-hmm. But some of those, I guess, core activities to start getting the train moving.
I think one of the biggest things was first time management, because that was something I had struggled with before Summit. But there's so many different ways that people can do it. But for me, I wasn't able to do a power hour. I called it power 15s because of my schedule with hygiene. I mean, you're in people's mouths. You don't have time to some people at work can check their email. I can't. I barely got a lunch sometimes. So from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., I was offline. So I started scheduling my posts and making sure that I was just present on social media, but power 15s in a sense that I broke up my day. So 15 minutes were spent following up with people, 15 minutes were spent inviting people. But the days that I was super busy, I had my Tuesdays were really long days, and those were days where I barely even got my own workout in. I think that was, a point where I was like, okay, I can't do everything on those days. but I made up for it. So I would do what I called blitz invites. It was easier for me to manage. So like on Wednesday, it was my shorter day. So I actually did like blitz invites and invited, 20, 30 people. And then Fridays were my follow-up Fridays, because Thursday was another busy hygiene day. So I'd kind of follow up with people on Thursday, and then Friday I'd really follow up. And then Saturday I hoped to seal the deal. And so I realized that that really helped, because on Fridays people are happier. It's the weekend. It's payday sometimes. So my follow-ups usually were really good. So, we have the power hours where we say invite 3 people a day, or 3 to 5, or follow up with 3 to 5. That wasn't realistic for me. I had to do the big bulky stuff. And that's a lot of my coaches too, because of the work schedule they have. So I always say, as long as it's an average over the week of 3 a day, then you're good. So I think that that was one of the big things that I changed in my schedule. But then I started posting more about coaching and inviting people to the opportunity, and actually hosting webinars on my own, because I didn't have anybody to plug. I didn't have an upline to plug anybody into. I was sending, the generic Beachbody stuff, which was still okay. But I realized that for my team to grow, I had to be the leader that I didn't have and start hosting my own webinars for coaching. And so I did those about once a month. And I think that that was huge, because as a brand new coach, they're timid to want to host something of their own or do like a sneak peek. Back then, sneak peeks weren't a thing. So I started doing my own, and they weren't great. I told you guys I had a terrible Google Hangout experience, but I was also super targeted. So we did like a medical professionals coaching webinar, where we only invited medical professionals because we could relate to them. And it was kind of like, Jason and I are so different in how we build, that really, we say we work together, we build together, but we really don't, because he's so much different in the way that he approaches things than I am. So really, we're kind of doing our own things as work together with our schedules too, or we would have been butting heads. But using his strengths and my strengths and putting those together was huge too.
Awesome.
Brooke, I have a question. When you're a newer coach, like around this time, when you're scheduling your posts and you're talking more about the coaching opportunity, but still, you're obviously, you don't have these huge paychecks. You don't see what would you talk about on Facebook? What would your story look like back then?
It was super hard, because I had to be careful, because I was a visionary and I saw the bigger picture. I also didn't want to tick off my employer. So I had to be very careful with how I worded things. So what I would do is share like the small wins and small victories. And because of my Pearl personality, I wanted to attract that type of personality that's also kind of a Ruby go-getter. But people were so attracted to like getting the free stuff, like the Success Club prizes. Me just posting about that, it was so funny that people were like, "Oh, that's so cool, you got a backpack and shirt." And I'm just like, I didn't know why people would be attracted to that. But I had to realize that like over my 3 years of being a hygienist, I never got anything. Like I never got a raise, and I never basically got a pat on the back. So for some people, that's huge, just saying congratulations. So I kind of realized that. And so I also started doing like challenger spotlights and sharing the emotional part of being the coach who changed that person's life from the personality type that I am, and what that does for me. And it fills my cup, and what that, and my accountability like that. I was able to say, I changed this person's life, and I can say that with confidence. And I want to do more of that. How would you feel if you could do this and feel this way? And this is what it's done for me, not only in holding me accountable, but it's what brings me the greatest joy. So I started doing kind of like those challenger spotlights, which I think people really relate to. And then when I did have like those small wins, the $300 checks, I would say, I can't believe, I remember I posted one day, I was like, I can't believe that I just paid my car payment in a week. Back then, now put the disclaimer these days, back then I didn't put the disclaimer, and I had a lot of people who were interested. But honestly, my best coaches don't come from the income posts. They come from me talking about the freedom of what I wanted. And so I had to be careful with how I worded it, but I would say, like, I love hygiene, but I want to do hygiene on my terms, and I want to love hygiene again, because I got to the point where it became a job. And that's what really sucked, is when I realized I didn't like hygiene anymore because of how I was working. So I started talking about, like, I would love to have the freedom to do mission work and work PRN compared to me going in and feeling like I'm disconnected. So I kind of talked about that in my storytelling as well.
Awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, I love about just posting about it, right? Like, it seems so simple, but it's amazing how many people are afraid or nervous to post about the coaching opportunity, and they're like, they're like these secret undercover Beachbody coaches. And it's like, wait, no one's gonna ever ask you if you don't ever talk about it.
And,
right? Awesome.
and we talk about that a lot as in our training, is when a coach first signs up, in the first week, they have to make a new coach announcement. It doesn't mean burying it all. It just basically means, hey, I'm open for the business of helping people, like letting people know that they're there, because so often I feel like coaches sign up, they start doing their program, they start posting about it, and then they're like, oh, my friend just bought it off Amazon. It's like, because they didn't know you were a coach. They had no idea that you were there to help. You have to talk about it. And so it avoids that heartache later when you're saying, my best friend got it from eBay or whatever.
Or from another
or from another coach that's not even helping them, and now they want to be in your group. So you just have to be mindful of that. And, and it's something that I was very fearful of. And I'll be honest, before I got to Summit, just because I didn't have the belief in it all until I saw that. But again, guys, it wasn't just because of Summit. It was because I didn't have an upline showing me those things either, or putting me into that culture, like team calls and seeing. If I would have just been on a couple team calls where, like, Barbie Decker, who's my upline, was there sharing her passion and her story, I'd have been like, oh my gosh, like, I see it now. But I never saw any of that. So Summit was where I kind of got that glimpse.
Awesome. One of the questions that we have in the chat is around the subject of not necessarily having your results from Beachbody products, and how to go about being able to share those, I guess, effectively with people. If your results are from a gym, say, what's your take on the best way to be able to share that with others, that Beachbody is a great solution, even though you didn't necessarily get your transformation, your before and afters from
right. And mine was even a little bit more tricky, because I actually had a personal trainer for like 2 months leading up to me signing up to coach. So I was really afraid, like, by me posting, people would be like, oh, well, you had a personal trainer. But what I did was I weaved in, like, okay, what was I doing at the gym? I was doing HIIT cardio and lifting weights. What Beachbody program does that? So I did T25, and then I still went to the gym and I still continued to lift weights. So I told people, I'm basically doing my cardio instead of paying my personal trainer to do my cardio for me, basically, or tell me what to do. I'm doing it at home now, and I'm doing it more often because of me not having to go to the gym after work. And so I actually got better results, not with the personal trainer, but being at home doing the T25. But I think it's so important to understand that, like, we're selling a lifestyle. It's not the programs. People could care less about the programs. They can get those wherever. They want to know that the lifestyle, how have you made that lifestyle change, and how can you help them? So for me, I changed to clean eating. So that I talked a lot about that in my posts about clean eating, and that's how people kind of came to me. The same with some of my coaches who are gluten-free. They didn't get the results maybe from Beachbody, but they're able to relate to people because of the lifestyle change. And then weaving in what programs could you recommend for people that helped you get where you were. Because I always say, had I had T25, had I had the 21-day fix when I started, oh my gosh, like, I would have gotten my results way faster because my nutrition was so off. And so that's what you have to share. And I tell people that all the time. Like, if I were doing it all over again, I would start with 21-day fix. But I didn't have that option.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. So some quick rapid fire question and answer. Ready?
Ready.
What is your favorite success quote?
Oh, gosh, dang it. Great leaders inspire action.
Awesome.
I don't know who said that, but I think it was John Maxwell.
We'll just quote Brooke Lipoff, quoting maybe John Maxwell. What's your favorite personal development book?
I would say The Go-Giver.
Cool. Awesome. Great book. All right. Last one. If there was, knowing everything you know now about this business, about how it works, and if you were starting off as a brand new coach, knowing everything that you know now, what's the one thing that you would focus on doing to grow your business?
I would have reached out and found my uplines a lot sooner and gotten involved. I think I would have also probably made sure that I knew about Super Saturdays and getting to events, just so that I would have seen what it was all about way before when I did. Because I think that that's what kind of held me back, because had I known that stuff right then and seen the stories and been involved in it, I feel like I would have seen the bigger picture a lot faster.
Awesome. Good way to think on the spot.
Yeah.
I was like, uh-oh, I'm venturing into dangerous waters here by putting a pregnant woman on the spot.
Honestly, it's like I wouldn't really change it though, because now it's like when coaches come to me from other teams and they're like, I'm so lost, and my coach is not doing that. I'm just like, don't even go there. And so now when our coaches have issues, I'm like, guys, listen, you have it way better than what we did. And they appreciate that because we share it in a loving way. Just like you guys who are listening, be so thankful you have leaders who are hosting these calls, who give you training, who give you the step-by-step. You just have to follow it. And I think that whenever it's given out to you, you think it's like, oh, it's not that great, or what, you just think that it's not what you need. It is. Just do the little things every single day and do what they tell you to do, because I wish so badly I would have had someone do that, because I had to find all of that stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Brooke, again, we appreciate you being here, and guys, I know we have a couple pages of notes ourselves, but one of the big things that I got out of this was the importance of attending events and getting to events and getting around that culture. So in addition to these team calls, make sure you know where and when your next Super Saturday is. It's going to be in April is the next one, but find out for you locally. Sometimes they're on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Figure out where that is. That all that information is in the back office. If it's not there yet, they'll start posting it. Also, Summit. Yes, technically Summit is sold out, but get on the waiting list, because everything that we're hearing from Michael Neiman and Jeff Hill is that everybody who's on the waiting list is going to get an opportunity to attend. So get on the waiting list. Be ready when your name's called to make that investment into your business. It will definitely change your perspective and change your vision for what's possible with this business. So anything else? Good to go? All right. Awesome, guys. Thanks again, Brooke. Appreciate all your help and all your knowledge, and look forward to seeing you in our groups again.
All right, bye.
See ya.
Thanks.